Welcome back. Sorry if I look a little wet. I just hopped out the shower. But anyways, that's not important. You know what is important? The fact that we got through another MMA weekend alive and made some great bets, hit some good bets, did everything in between. I was happy with the weekend as a whole. If you don't already know, I'm the host of this here show. I'm Gaff. I do this shit every Friday, every Saturday, every Sunday. I give you guys MMA tips, tricks, parlays, all that shit. Right here, Friday CP units, fantasy fight series, Saturday watch along, Sunday live chats and wrap ups of the week. Right here, this channel. If you don't already know, scan the QR codes below. Main card minute on your left, one more fights on your right. Okay. Main card minute, baby. That's where we do the UFC watch alongs. That's where we give you main card bet breakdowns, minute bet breakdowns, gimmick parlays, members only perks. One more round where we give you CP units, simulations, everything in between, parlays, Don't forget to follow on social. One more round fights everywhere except for X. It's one more round F8. Send your shit into the Gmail, one more round fights at gmail.com. I don't care what you send. Send it though. Make that shit active. And shout out to our sponsor, W.GG. Use promo code one more round for 10% off. That's one more round for 10% off. We're trying to get to 550 still. We're trying to get to 550. We hit 525. Thank you to all that helped make that happen. We're on the road to 550 now. We're trying to get up there. So if you got a sub account, if you haven't been subbed already, please hit that thumb button, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, get notified when I go live. It ain't that often. It's just on the weekends. You're probably out doing shit anyways. But if you're happen to not be doing shit and you get that notification, come on down, hang out with the pals and the gang and all that. So don't forget to like and subscribe, all right? We're just trying to get some love too. We're just trying to get some love too, man. That's it, bro. All right? All right. But without further ado, let's get into it, all right? Let's see this chat. Chat's popping off already. What's going on? Cosmo Kramer in this bitch. Cosmo says it's a Haitian sensation weekend. That's fucking right, it was. Neil Magny gets a TKO win. Thad Gene gets his first belt decision win over in the PFL. Haiti, we up. We up, baby. Cosmo says also the Brewers swept the shitty Nats and still have the best record in baseball. I feel like the best record in baseball has been passed around over the last weeks like a fucking skank. I mean, the fucking I feel like it was the Jays, then it was the Dodgers, then it was the Yankees, then it was the Jays, then it was whoever the fuck else, and now it's the Brewers. The Brewers. What? All right. I'm into it. Jackson Churio, fucking all those dudes. Rob Loria says, "What's up, everyone? It's one more round time. Let's go." That's right. It's fucking one more round time. Cosmo says, "What's up, Rob?" I know Luke's lurking in the chat somewhere too, but let's talk about it. We got a little We got some updates to talk about. We got a little updates to talk about. Nothing crazy. Just a couple little things here and there. We know BJ Penn has been in the news for getting arrested. We got a new retiree in the MMA world getting in trouble. Diego Sanchez was arrested for gun charges. Yeah, so he made headlines, unfortunately, in the bad way this past week. So hopefully he gets everything cleared up with him because he's also one of those people that I was worried about what's going to happen to him when his fighting career ends. BJ Penn, Diego Sanchez, Darren Elkins, guys like that. Guys that have taken a lot of punishment over their careers. So yeah, hopefully everything's cleared up there and his family's looking after him and he's got a good group of people around him. So shout out to Diego Sanchez. Hopefully he gets everything sorted and he gets in better health. Conor McGregor registers for the first official drug test of 2025. That's right. He's back in the pool. He's teasing us again that he's coming back for a fight. Maybe this is to maybe get on that White House card. Maybe this is him getting in early to make sure he's got his I's dotted and his T's crossed. So we'll see what happens with that. But Conor McGregor is now officially in the testing pool for the UFC. We'll see how long that lasts, and we'll see if he actually ends up taking a fight in 2025 or 2026. Well, at this point, it's impossible in 2025, so 2026. Benoit Saint-Denis returns to UFC Paris for a fight with Mauricio Hufi. That's right. Fighting Nerds clashing with BSD in Paris. They're both teasing it over their social media accounts over the weekend. So excited to see that fight at lightweight. And another lightweight fight booked for UFC Perth. Tom Nolan and Evan Elder. But more importantly, that's a great fight as well at lightweight. That's going to be a banger. So Tom Nolan coming back, baby. Tom Nolan got long arms, long legs, even for that weight class. So I can't wait to see what he does. Evan Elder, a very tough lightweight. He's going to give him a tough matchup there. But they're fighting on the undercard of Carlos Olberg and Dominic Reyes. That fight has been booked. I know Dominic Reyes has been vocal about wanting to fight Khalil Roundtree and other people. So hopefully he's got his eyes on the prize for this fight against Carlos Olberg. But this is the next fight booked for him. He's got to turn back one up-and-coming contender, and then hopefully he can see himself fighting for a title or a number one contender fight. So shout out to Dominic Reyes. I've seen him doing the social media rounds this week and the MMA media rounds. So something big has been announced for him, and hopefully he keeps his eyes on the prize and marches onwards because we've always known him to be the type to he always looked like he was going to be a champion, and we just didn't know when. And he had a couple bumps, and he didn't come through in certain times, but now he's coming on his second. This is his second go around. He's got a second win, and hopefully this win blows him towards the title. And then finally, Martin Budai was released this past week, despite being 8-1 in UFC promotions across Dana White's Contender Series and the UFC's promotion itself. He's fought 9 times, 8-1. They let him go. You can almost certainly see that he's going to end up in PFL as we've seen Rodrigo Nascimento, as we've seen Alexander Romanov, as we've seen Shoeface, and many, many others have gone over to the PFL and have had very successful careers, even ones that were shunned from the PFL, from the UFC, and gone to the PFL, like Brendan Loughnane and others like that. So, I mean, we're going to see him there soon. It's just a matter of time. I mean, they're signing solid heavyweight prospects over there, solid heavyweight talent. And Budai seems like he's at the top of the list at this point, going 8-1 in the UFC. So, yeah, those are the MMA updates for the week. Let's get into what happened in MMA this week, actually. But before we do that, we'll see what's happening. Rob says, thoughts on UFC cutting the heavyweight fighter who was 7-1. They cut him off and went. Yeah, you just got that right now. I beat you to it, Rob. Wow. Yeah, Martin Budai. And he was ranked as well. Not to mention that Martin Budai was ranked as well. Yes. He was a ranked heavyweight that decided to leave his spot at heavyweight. I forgot his ranking. They have since removed. Oh, actually, no, he was number 12. Martin Budai was number 12. He has not been removed from the rankings just yet, but he is now not on the UFC roster. Martin Budai, unfortunately, is out. His lone loss in the UFC was my finish, but yeah, hopefully Martin Budai can go to the PFL and get a great career going. But as for the UFC, Tatsuda Taira submits Park Jung. All right, Park or I don't even know how to say that. Am I correct? Is it no? Maybe it's Park Hyung Sung. Park. So Hung Sung Park Hyung Sung, whichever way you want to say it. Tatsuda Taira submits him in round 2. Now, if you know this fight, you know that it came to fruition because Amir Albazi fell out of the fight a week ago. Sung Park had a fight next week at UFC Vegas 109, had to take a short notice fight a week early to step in and take on Tatsuda Taira. So Tatsuda Taira was definitely expected to win this fight. He has fought the much better competition in the UFC. He is ranked higher. He is ranked. Park is not ranked at flyweight. So this made sense for him to win this fight, and in convincing fashion, because Tatsuda Taira is basically going to crack that top 5. He should go up a spot after this, and Kai Kara France should drop to 6. Maybe Taira should even take over Amir Albazi at 4. Because submitting Park is a solid up-and-comer. It's not a nobody that Tatsuda Taira submitted. And he's bouncing back after a loss. So you got to mention that Tatsuda Taira is one of those prospects that still has a lot of promise in him. I mean, he lost to, who was it? He lost to Brendan Royval, who just fought an amazing fight against Joshua Van in a very close fight that he almost won. And it was a split decision with Brandon Royval, by the way. 5-round fight, October 12th of 2024 that he lost. Bounces back against Park, gets a nice submission by face crank, round 2, minute and 6 seconds, and restates his claim for being a top 5 contender and a future contender for the belt at flyweight. Tatsuda Taira is a solid talent. And that face crank adding to his long, long list of submissions. He's got 8 submissions now. Past victims including CJ Vergara, Jesus Aguilar, technically Alex Perez, because he was about to submit him and then the knee injury, but it was a TKO. But you see where I'm going with it. The guy's got a lot of subs, and he did his signature thing. He got a submission win over another prospect. So Tatsuda Taira comes back, bounces back from a loss, and gets a huge win in a main event against a short notice opponent in which he was supposed to be the B side and became the A side. A++ performance for Tatsuda Taira. So there's only a few names for Tatsuda Taira that I think should be considered as his next opponent. Now, I don't think we should move him up the flyweight rankings too fast and put him up against the Roy Val again. I mean, that would be a fantastic rematch. I don't want to see just yet. I don't want to see Moreno fight just yet. I think Kai Kara France would be a great match for Tatsuda Taira. Kai Kara France, grappling seems to be his kryptonite, so that would be a great test for him to see if he could turn back a young up-and-comer. Tatsuda Taira fought a very erratic, similar style fighter in Brandon Royval, where he didn't pass the test, and he took an L there. I think that would be a great matchup, Tatsuda Taira and Kai Kara France. And if you don't have that matchup, well, we already had the matchup with Amir Albazi. It may have fallen through, but we've seen how good Tatsuda Taira can look, and there's no reason to give Amir Albazi somebody above him after fumbling the bag, so to speak, this past week and evacuating his main event spot. So he should be fighting Tatsuda Taira if Tatsuda Taira doesn't get a better matchup than him. And as for Park, I think he should get a crack into the top 15. He did show promise. That was a very tough test, complete style change of opponents. I think he should fight Bruno Silva. I like that fight for him. Bruno Silva would be a solid matchup for him. Somebody that could push the pace against him, has great grappling, just like Tatsuda Taira, but a very different style of grappling. So that would be a great test for him. I think Bruno Silva is a good matchup. But yeah, Tatsuda Taira, big win. Can't wait to see what he gets next. Melker says, what up, Gav? Hope you're having a good Monday. I am, Melker. Hope you are as well. Lazy Bed says, let's go. Melker says, what up with Amir Albazi? When was his last fight? Amir Albazi's last fight. Amir Albazi's last fight. That was November 2nd of 2024 against Brandon Moreno, in which he lost a unanimous decision. And before that, it was June of 2023, the year prior, against Kai Kara France, in which he won a split decision. That win hasn't even aged well because I don't even remember it. So he definitely needs to get back on track and soon, because he hasn't done anything memorable and he's just getting on the bad side of the UFC as of late. So we'll see what he does. I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a toughie. That is a toughie. But as for the rest of the wait, let's see. You think the UFC will use Ryzen as a feeder league for the 125 to 35 division? I mean, they kind of already are, I guess, but they have some great fighters in Ryzen. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? If there's talent, you got to use it, right? If it's available, you got to use it. So I could absolutely see them doing that. Cosmo says Brandon Moreno beating the shit out of him in Canada was the last time we saw Albazi. Yeah, and they somehow call that a split, right? John Ray says, I wasn't Park versus Ochoa, but I don't hate Bruno Silva. Oh, I want Park versus Ochoa, but I don't hate Bruno Silva, right? He's an all-action fighter as well. That fight would be a banger too. And KKF was robbed in that fight against Albazi. Yeah, but you don't want to give Albazi such a shot at the top 5 again. You want to give him somebody under KKF. KKF should have to fight Taira. Unfortunately, you want to reward KKF finally, but maybe Taira is a reward for him. You never know. You never know. But as for the UFC Vegas 10, oh god, that's UFC Vegas 109. UFC Vegas 108 happened. I forgot to make a lower for it. Didn't I? Yeah, I did. I forgot to make a lower for it. It is what it is. UFC Vegas 109 happened. And there was a bunch of great fights on this card. Let's talk about it. All right. Chris Duncan defeats Mateusz Rebecki. Well, all right. Luke says Rambeski. I say Rebeski. Let's say Rebecki. Mateusz Rebecki via unanimous decision 29-28, 29-28, 30-27. This was an absolute fucking war. This was a war in which two fights were absolute wars back to back, and both of these fights deserved and got $50,000 bonuses. Chris Duncan and Mateusz Rebecki was an absolute war. Rebecki possibly winning round one probably going to Chris Duncan, then Rebecki coming back in round 2, and then Duncan roaring back in round 3. Duncan cutting Rebecki with elbows right across the eye. That's all he was doing in round 1. Duncan was just fucking throwing elbows left and fucking right, just cutting the shit out of Rebecki. And then Rebecki had a giant mouse over this side, hematoma over here, giant cut over here. He's bleeding all over his face. It was crazy. Chris Duncan earned that freaking win. He earned that win. Absolutely. And both of those guys earned that $50,000 bonus. So I'm glad they both got their money that night. Esteban Ribovic defeats Elvis Brenner via unanimous decision in another $50,000 fight for both guys. They also got fight of the night bonuses because this was a 29-28, 30-27, 30-27 win for Esteban Ribovic, in which he just put his foot on the gas and never stopped, never looked back from there. Elvis Brenner had to go on the back foot, hurting Ribovic a couple times, but Ribovic just hurting Brenner more. The more powerful strikes making Brenner have to take a step backwards because Ribovic was just all action all throughout the fight. Ribovic was looking great. Argentina was on fire. Okay, Ribovic is going to get a great opponent after this. I mean, Elvis Brenner is a bit of a fighter that'll lead you into a war and will welcome that at his own expense. So this was a tailor-made matchup for Ribovic. So this was a great win for him, and Elvis Brenner actually looked great in losing in this fight as well. So there were no losers in either of these two fights, and both fights earned each fighter $50,000. So I'm glad to see that all these guys got paid. They leave home and happy, even though the decision might not have went half of these guys' ways. The Haitian sensation, Neil Magny, gets a huge come-from-behind win over Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos via TKO punches, round 2, 4 minutes and 39 seconds. Dos Santos was beating up Magny. At first, Magny was winning. He was staying long and beating Dos Santos with the jab, pushing him back, staying on the outside. But then Dos Santos starts landing leg kicks and then pushing Magny up against the fence and clinching him and beating him up inside. So Magny lost round 1. And then Easy Diaz was doing it again in round 2. He was pushing him back, beating him up, landing the better hooks and uppercuts. Magny wasn't looking too great, eating leg kicks and not standing well on that leg. But out of nowhere, Neil Magny and Dos Santos clinch up. Magny lands a knee on the top of the head of Dos Santos that makes him do a fucking corkscrew 360 spin somehow. Falls. Magny jumps on him, starts landing punches, and Dos Santos never recovers. He never recovers. Magny wins the fight via TKO. It was the craziest thing ever. I was so happy to see it. The Haitian parlay cashed. If you know, you know. Magny, that gene. But yeah, shout out to Neil Magny for a big win, turning back the clock at 170, still showing that he's got some in the tank. All right. That old Haitian machine still got some gas left in him. Don't count him out. Kevin Vallejos defeats Danny Silva via unanimous decision in a war. 29-28, 30-27, 30-27. Danny Silva taunting throughout the entire fight, getting out of the way of a lot of strikes of Kevin Vallejos, but Kevin Vallejos being the more active fighter and still landing a lot on Danny Silva. Danny Silva, there was no argument for him winning the fight. It was one-way traffic. Danny Silva did what he could, tried to make him pay when he could, but Kevin Vallejos racked up too many points for him to come from behind like that. We're going to skip over this fight because we got to talk about that. Rodolfo Vieira defeats Tresean Gore via unanimous decision. 29-28, 30-27, 30-27. Vieira completely controlling Tresean Gore on the outside and completely controlling him when they got close. He was beating him up with his jabs, his ones and twos, and his leg kicks. And then when he wasn't doing that, he took him down and controlled him and beat him up. It was an easy fight for Vieira. He's controlled and mastered his striking now to a way that he can use it to keep the fight on the feet and win the fight. So he's adding wrinkles to his game, and I'm excited to see what the finished product could look like because he's now training at Fighting Nerds, and his style was looking a lot like Caio Borralho. If you heard me talking on the Men Card Minute stream this past Saturday. So, yeah, he was looking really good, and I guess they're adding a lot of nice wrinkles to his game. Andrei Pulyev defeats Nick Klein via TKO strikes round 2, 1 minute and 31 seconds. He looked great. Can't come from behind win because Nick Klein was getting a lot of takedowns and bum rushing him, trying to finish the fight, but he expended too much energy. Pulyev comes from behind, beats him up, lands a kick or two, kick to the body. He drops him. Fight end. Referee has to call it. Austin Bashi defeats John Giannis via submission. Rear naked choke. Round 1, 3 minutes and 39 seconds. The prospect grappler gets it done. It was a nice, solid win for him. He didn't look too flashy. He did what he had to do. When the choke presented itself, he took it and he got the win. Rafael Estevam defeats Felipe Bunes via unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. He was completely dominating the fight. There was at one point where one fighter could have finished it, but then he recovered. There was a buggy choke applied where Estevam was locked into it and couldn't find his way out of it for almost 2 minutes, and then was trying to fix his neck afterwards because you could tell it was very tight, but he eventually got out of it and then comes back and completely controls him in round 3. So big win for Estevam. And then Pierre Rodriguez defeats Ketlin Souza via split decision, 29-28, 28-29, 29-28, in a solid win in which she might have lost round 2, but comes back in round 3 and seals the deal. And that was it for UFC Vegas 108. Let's see. Albazi versus Cap. No one can really make it to the cage reliably, so one of them needs to at least prove that to the UFC before they step up. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Yeah, that would be like a punishment fight for Albazi. It would be like, yeah, you were gonna get Taira. He was gonna grapple you the whole time. All you had to do was stuff and beat him up. Now you get Cop, who's gonna fucking style on you and beat the shit out of you and land hella shots for 5 rounds. And yeah, we're gonna make it a 5-rounder too. A fucking fight night at the Apex. Fuck you. That's what the UFC is gonna do to him. That's what the UFC is going to do to Albazi because of this. He is now in the same boat as Arman Tsarukyan, and we can see that that's not going so well for him. Rob Lurie says those elbows were so perfectly timed. They were so nasty. Yeah, Chris Duncan was fucking cutting them up with them things. It was nasty. Keep Levovic out of the Apex, right? We need to get this man on some numbered event cards. We need to move this man across countries. He's got to be a traveling show. Lacey says 2 in a row inside the warehouse after his fight of the night with Zell Huber is criminal. This guy deserves a crowd. Yeah, he does, man. He does. He's an all-action fighter, and he deserves it. Cosmos says these Argentinians fucking scrap. Levovic, Callejos. Well, he meant Vallejos. Santiago Ponzinibbio, Aline Perez. Yeah. And he fixed with Vallejos. Whatever. You know what he was saying. Rob says that at Lazy, keep everything out of the Apex except for Contender Series and Slab Fight and BJJ. I mean, these cards aren't good on paper, but always put on good fights, and I think could sell out small venues. Yeah, this is where they should be capitalizing on small crowds again. You know, they have such a big game that if a small crowd hears that the UFC is coming, why not pick up a few extra tickets just to travel, especially if you're doing local to California, local to Vegas. You don't have to leave. You don't have to leave that side of the states for some of these cards. You could stay kind of local. Do a Colorado card here and there, do a Los Angeles card here and there, like a smaller venue in Los Angeles. Well, the crowds will come out in LA, you know. Lacey says, I agree, Rob. It's just too cost effective for the UFC to ever stop using the Apex. We're stuck with it. Yeah, they saw how much money they could make and how much ratings they could still put in on streaming, and they were just like, fuck this. Why travel? Let's save some money here. At Lazy, yes, that's very true. You are correct about that, unfortunately, but it's just unfortunate for the fighters. And then Josh Emmett versus Patricio Pitbull, main event October 11th for the UFC Fight Rio Fight Night is official. Tough fight for Josh Emmett, but a fight he could definitely win. He's definitely going to be the bigger fighter there. the more experienced fighter there. Yeah. Danger Mouse, what up, Danger? How you doing, brother? What's up, guy? All right. Without further ado, let's get into my fighter spotlight of the week. And my fighter spotlight of the week is none other than Rinya Nakamura. Okay? And he deserves to be my fighter spotlight of the week. Absolutely, positively deserves to be my fighter spotlight of the week. Now, I don't have a nickname listed for him besides the hybrid. So they might have even spelled it wrong. Was this guy they had as hybrid? I'm just kidding. But Rinya Nakamura is a Japanese freestyle fighter and a mixed martial artist from Saitama, Japan. That's very important. You'll see why. He trains out of American Top Team. He's been training there since 2025, so he just joined there this year. And it's doing really well for him, seeing his past performance. He's fighting out of Florida now, but he started his career with LDH Martial Arts in 2021 before changing teams. He used to fight out of Japan. That's important. You'll see why. LDH. Keep that in mind, LDH. Now, Rinya Hybrid Nakamura is 30 years old, born March 23rd, 1995. He's a 5'10 bantamweight with a 68-inch reach fighting switch stance. He's 10-1, 6 KOs, 1 sub. Rinya is the son of Kozo Nakamura, who was involved in the early development of Shuto in the 90s. Having begun wrestling at the age of 5, Nakamura's first notable accomplishment in the sports of freestyle wrestling was a bronze medal from the Cadet World Championships in 2011. A multiple-time Japanese national medalist with 2 different weight classes. His most remarkable achievement of his career came at the 2017 Under-23 World Championships, where he became a champion at 61 kilograms. After the delay of the 2020 Summer Olympics due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Nakamura announced his retirement from wrestling in order to pursue a career in mixed martial arts. In April of 2020, Nakamura announced his serious intentions of competing in MMA and made his professional debut against Takumi Arai in a mixed martial arts reality show, Fighting Dreamers, May 15th, 2021. That was his first experience on a reality show. That's important as well. He won the fight via first-minute knockout in the very first round. He then made his sophomore appearance against Akui Randa at Shudo 0725 on July 25th of 2021. He won the bout via second-round knockout. Now, let's take a look at his record here. Winning that first fight at LDH Martial Arts. Remember, he fought out of LDH Martial Arts. That was his team. So that was like the home promotion, kind of. He beat Takumi Arai via knockout punch, first round, 42 seconds. Tokyo, Japan in a bantamweight debut. Then took on Akuri Randa, head kick KO, Shudo Volume 5, July of 2021. Second round in 20 seconds. His third fight, he takes on Yasuyuki Nohiri. He knocks him out at Shudo Volume 1 of 2022, January 16th of 2022 in the first round, 25 seconds in Tokyo, Japan. And then takes out Alejandro Caetano via unanimous decision, LDH Martial Arts Pound Storm, April 24th, 2022, Tokyo, Japan. Goes 4-0. And he gets his chance on his second reality show, Road to UFC, Season 1. He gets his fight on Episode 3 against Gogan Guzman. He wins via submission, key lock, June 10th of 2022 in the first round in Singapore. Okay, this was the quarterfinal fight for the bantamweight tournament in the Road to UFC Season 1 tournament. Okay. His second fight was on Episode 6. He took on Shohei Nose. He knocked him out. Punches. Round 1, October 23rd of 2022 in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. This was the semifinals. And bitch, you guessed it. In the finals, he takes on Toshiomi Kazama and knocks him out on UFC Fight Night, Lewis versus Spivak. February 4th of 2023, first round, 33 seconds in Las Vegas, Nevada, winning the Road to UFC Season 1 Bantamweight tournament and simultaneously earning himself a Performance of the Night bonus. Okay? So he wins the first fight in the quarterfinals, episode 3 via Americana, then knocks out Nose in episode 6, and then takes on Kazama, who's fighting next weekend, by the way, UFC Vegas 109, by knockout and getting a Performance of the Night bonus. Of course, this dude is destined for greatness. Also, apparently his dad helped the sport of Shudo develop, and he went on to do great things himself in Shudo. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. And since then, he took on Fernie Garcia, winning by unanimous decision on UFC Fight Night Holloway versus Zombie, August 26th of 2023 in Singapore. Took on Carlos Vera, in which Carlos Vera stepped in on short notice after, was it Nathan Fletcher? Who fell out of the bout? Who fell out of that bout? Oh, it was Brady Highstand. After Brady Highstand fell out of a bout with Rinya Nakamura, Carlos Vera stepped in on short notice, and he ended up getting finished. Not the type of guy you want to come in on short notice. Oh, sorry. He didn't get finished. Carlos Vera got beat by unanimous decision at UFC 298, February 17th of 2024 in Anaheim, California. But he did step in on short notice and was absolutely dominated by Nakamura. Then Nakamura set up a fight with Muin Gafarov and lost at UFC 311 by unanimous decision January 18th of this 2025 in Inglewood, California. Bounces back this past Saturday as a minus 300 favorite against Nathan Fletcher and beats him in the very first round via body kick and punches. UFC on ESPN Taira versus Park, August 2nd of 2025 in Las Vegas. And Rinya Nakamura gets one of the biggest wins of his career. Yeah. Takes out a training partner of Paddy Pimblett, overwhelms him with strikes and puts him away. Takes out another highly touted bantamweight prospect. And that's why he absolutely deserved to be my fighter spotlight of the week. Shout out to Nakamura. Shout out to his team. I hope he does fantastic things in the UFC, winning the Road to UFC tournament, getting finishes in the UFC, getting wins, facing high competition. Shout out to Nakamura. I'm excited for what he does next. Shout out to the Fighter Spotlight. John Ray says, Cosmo, until Big Marcel tweets, it ain't official. It ain't official. Melker says, Jesus, I'm only getting Emmett versus Pitbull for my birthday. I'm a degenerate, so I watch it anyways. Hey, you know we're watching it anyways. We're betting it anyways, too. Melker says it's 4:20 a.m., so burn up if you got it. Oh, it's only 10 over here for me. Lazy says, that's true, John Ray. And Melker says, Kazama, you mean Jin Kazama from the Tekken game came to life? Hello, Gaff, my fine fellow. What up, Wheels Up? How you feeling, bro? How you feeling? My hair's all wet, so it's doing like weird things right now. Who cares? Who cares though? Let's move on, shall we? PFL 8 happened. Headlined by Thad Jean taking on Logan Storley, and you guessed it, the Haitian silverback gorilla gets it done. Thad Jean defeats Logan Storley via unanimous decision, 49-46, 49-46, 48-47, and wins the welterweight tournament championship for the PFL World Tournament in 2025. Thad Jean is your champion. Haiti, you have your first MMA champion, and it's Thad Jean. Shout out to Thad Jean. Shout out to his team. Shout out to Fight Sports. I mean, it was a fantastic performance from him. His striking looked absolutely amazing. He was beating up Logan Storley, hurting him multiple times, almost putting him away at one point, getting out of the way of most of Logan Storley's strikes, evading head kicks by just glancing the shoulder, bending like he's Adesanya, sprawling and brawling. Logan Storley could barely try to get a takedown in rounds 1 and 2. Teraji was just so quick to get his hands down and sprawl, get back to his feet, muscle. Even when he did get taken down, he muscled his way out of it, got right back to his feet. He didn't want to waste any time on his back, losing the fight on the judges' scorecards. And Teraji absolutely deserved every second of this win. He earned it for 25 minutes. 25 minutes was all it took for him to become a champion. And he passed the test with flying colors. He passed the mixed martial artist test in Jason Jackson. He passed the grappler's test in Logan Storley. He passed the striker's test in Berkamov. Teraji is everything that the PFL wants him to be. He is a future star. He is a champion. He is a star now. What am I saying? He's the champion of their promotion. He has a nice shiny belt to prove that hard work pays off. And Teraji is doing big things in the PFL. Everyone should be paying attention to what he's doing right now. Also in a championship win, Movlid Kabalayev defeats Jesus Pinedo via submission arm triangle, round 5, 1 minute and 17 seconds, and he is your featherweight tournament champion for the PFL World Tournament in 2025. His performances have been nothing short of amazing. You know he's been ready for this fight, training with absolute killers in the Nurmagomedovs, Team Eagle, Team Abdulmanap. Kabulayev implements a grappling-heavy style that suffocates every single opponent that he faces. Jesus Pinedo found out that he is the PFL's Khabib at featherweight. Rabadanov, Kabulayev, Nurmagomedov. Whatever way you slice it, they're going to take you down and control you. Movlid Kabulayev did it to Taekyun Kim. He did it to Jesus Pinedo, and he's a champion. He crawled his way to the top, clawed his way to a championship, taking down every opponent, absolutely controlling them, taking their biggest strikes and putting them on their butt. And then to seal the deals, to not let the judges be the ones that decided his fate, he grabbed that submission in round 5 and he got himself the win. So shout out to him and shout out to him getting a win for Team Abdulmanap. He is your champion at featherweight. It's going to be tough to figure out who's the guy at featherweight now. There's a lot of guys at featherweight, a lot of guys at lightweight and featherweight. There's going to be movement. Asael Ajuj defeats Yves Landu via unanimous decision. 29-28, 29-28, 29-28. Asael Ajuj coming over from PFL Europe, looking great, carrying over that merit and looking great against Yves Landu, but gassing out in round 3 a little bit. Yves Landu thoroughly beating him up in round 3 and almost getting into 10-8 territory at one point. But Ajuj outlasts him and gets the unanimous decision win. Jordan Not Human Newman defeats Islam Abdul Basset via TKO retirement, round 1, 5 minutes. He quit on the stool, essentially. Jordan Newman coming back after Basset had a big round 1, taking down Newman multiple times, trying to beat him up, landing big strikes. But then Newman comes back, lands a few of his own, hurts Basset badly. He's cut over the eye. He's talking to his corner, can barely see. Referee says to get off the stool. He's not listening to him, talking to his corner. He doesn't respond to the ref. Referee Keith Peterson has to call it. Jordan Newman gets the win. Jacob Kasuba defeats Sergio Cosia via unanimous decision, 29-28 across the board. Jacob Kasuba looked great in rounds 1 and 2, landing big strikes, taking him down, controlling him, clinch strikes, body strikes, eating him up, nearly finishing the fight a couple times. But then him gassing out as well. Another fighter gassing out late. Sergio Casio coming back in round 3, landing a lot of big shots, knees to the body, nearly finishing him. landing in his guard, trying to beat him up with some elbows. Kasuba outlasts him, and they somehow gets the 29-28 win. Kyle Driscoll, in a polarizing performance, defeats Hussein Khadimagayev via split decision, 27-30, 29-28, 30-27. One judge had it 20-37 one way, the other had it 20-37 the other way, and 29-28 was what won him the fight. Kyle Driscoll got the win. I thought it was a Khadimagayev win, but Driscoll did enough to win the fight. He wrestled. He stayed in front of him. Khadimagayev, a lot of taunting being done, and it bit him in the ass in the end. Should have been wasting that energy putting it on his opponent, and he didn't. And that wasted energy is what lost him the fight. Fred Duprat defeats Nathan Kelly via technical submission, guillotine choke, round 2, 4 minutes and 38 seconds. I mean, Duprat, a submission guy, usually gets it in round 1, ends up getting it in round 2 here. Nathan Kelly succumbing to another grappler. Ends up on his back, trying to get out of the choke. Can't do it. Ends up giving up a guillotine. Just gets controlled. He was trying to land too many strikes. He was having success on the feet, starting to land real heavy shots, but then gave his hips up. Duprat gets him down. Just as Kelly is trying to make some moves, Duprat jumps on a guillotine, jumps the gilly, doesn't get silly. He gets the win. Subber dubber. Fred Duprat. Sarek Shields defeats Nick Meck via TKO doctor stoppage at the end of round 1. 5 minutes. Nick Meck had a huge mincemeat cut over his eye on which you could see lots of pink flesh. Usually, they're not going to let that keep going. Nick Meck was looking good, though. He was coming on. Sarek Shields landed one nice elbow while they were in the clinch, and that's what opened it up. Sarek Shields tried to grapple him. Nick Meck was sprawling and brawling, doing everything he could. It looked like it was going his way. He was going to take round 2 and possibly round 3 if it was going late, but the doctors stopped it, and Nick Meck loses to Sarek Shields. And Tom Pagliarulo defeats Matt Turnbull via knockout strikes round 1, as expected, 4 minutes and 36 seconds. He was losing the fight at first, started getting out grappled, and then lands the big shot, gets the win, turns it around. And I was happy to see that because he was in a couple bets of mine. But yeah, that was it for PFL. Wheels Up says, from this card, we've identified at least 3 promising future title contenders, with Nakamura being a prime candidate due to his elite wrestling potential. Agree on 3? I can agree on 3. The 3 being Vallejos, Nakamura, and possibly Taira or Ivovich. Yeah, I could agree on 3. Yeah, I like that. Rob Lawyer says, you think PFL fumbles the opportunity they have with that to build up a potential superstar? I mean, the tournament style doesn't help the PFL when it comes to building up a star in the promotion, especially because they have to start from zero every time. You know, it's not like you're the champion going into this year. You're the champ for what? The rest of the year, which is 3 months, 4 months. And then you're back to nothing again. It just doesn't make sense. And now you have to have a 2-belt system. It's weird. It's just weird. The tournament should be for like the $1 million and the chance to fight the champion. But they should have they should have 2 fight styles. You can either get into the season and you fight your way towards a title shot, and it's like 2 brackets and the champion's at the end. Or you can do this championship style, but it has to be one or the other. But there has to be one style of champion. It doesn't even make sense what they're doing over there. There's so many different things going on. Melker says, a couple years ago, I got Strickland and Abus in the Apex for my birthday. You've been getting the hose for your birthday, huh? I don't understand why the undefeated Dagestani was the underdog in that fight. Laugh out loud. I have him rated in the top 10. Pinedo only top 30. Yeah. That's why I had to take Kabalaev, and nobody was on that. We didn't hit the parlay because of a couple other guys, but you know, it is what it is. Cosmo Kramer says, biggest problem with the PFL is who can you use to build that gene in Dakota Ditcheva? Need to bring over some Asian UFC fighters with names. Gilbert Burns versus Thad Gene. Well, they got Martin Budak coming over. Unfortunately, he's in neither of their weight classes or sex. So, yeah. They need to sign some talent. Hopefully, one championship's letting some people go. I know the GFL's got some people loose. So yeah, maybe people are looking to leave some BKFC. Maybe Britton Hart's coming back. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what can happen? Don't poo-poo on the Shields win. Laugh out loud. He keeps making me money. I'm not poo-pooing on it. He landed the elbow. I'm just saying. He was starting to lose that fight. Nick Meck was coming out. Nick Meck was coming out. That's it for MMA, though. Let's get into some boxing. Oscar Duarte took on Kenneth Sims Jr. Let's go over the card. At super lightweight, Oscar Duarte defeats Kenneth Sims Jr. via majority decision. It was 114, 114, 116, 112, 115, 113. This was a tough fight to score. So many different moments in the fight. Oscar Duarte doing well. Kenneth Sims doing well, each having their own style. Kenneth Sims putting him up against the ropes. Oscar Duarte getting out and making him pay. But in the end, the judges saw it Oscar Duarte's way, and he gets the win. Shout out to him and his team. Also at super lightweight, Regis Prograis defeats Joseph Diaz Jr. via unanimous decision. 98-92, 96-94, 96-94. Classic performance from Prograis. Walks his fighter down, beats him up, lands the bigger shots, and he got the win. Prograis looked good. He looked fit. He should get himself a bigger fight next. Not saying Joseph Diaz Jr. is a small fight. I'm just saying Prograis has fought bigger and more illustrious competition before. So this was a fight, stepping stone fight to get him back there. At cruiserweight, Tristan Calcrith defeats Devontae Williams via second round TKO, corner retirement. He was just pounding on him. His corner decided not to send him back out. At heavyweight, Joshua Edwards defeats Cayman Audi via first round TKO. Go back and check that out. That's some heavyweight slop for you. At light heavyweight, Yair Gallardo defeats Quentin Rankin via unanimous decision, 80-71, 79-72, and 79-72. On the prelims at super bantamweight, Gael Cabrera defeats Richard Reyes Diaz via first round KO. And at super lightweight, Mecky Phillips defeats Joseph Ricardo Cruz Brown via second round TKO. Go check those knockouts out. The prelims into the main card was nice because it was it was 3 finishes out of the first 4 fights, and then it slowed down. But it is what it is. It's boxing, bro. You come to see people put on good fights. It is what it is. But that's it for that card. Also in boxing, Kenshiro Teraji took on Ricardo Sandoval. Okay, there were 3 fights on this card. The first being for the WBA and WBC unified flyweight title, the main event. Ricardo Sandoval defeats Kenshiro Teraji via split decision, 115-112, 114-113, 117-110. Mixed scorecards on this fight, but it was clear that there was a winner, and the winner was Sandoval. Okay, so he wins both the WBA and WBC flyweight titles and gets himself a big win. At bantamweight for the WBA bantamweight title, Antonio Vargas retains the title with a unanimous decision draw against Diago Iga. 113 across the board for all the judges. If you want to see a war in which both guys were not willing to take a step backwards and they both wanted that title, go back and watch this. Neither guy was willing to give up an inch. And you can see the judges saw that in a close fight, 113-113 across the board. For the WBA light flyweight title, Kisioke Takami defeats Eric Rosa via 10th round TKO, just overwhelmed him in the end. And just put the punches on him, having to give up in the end. Has to call it. And that's it for the fights. That's it for the fights. For boxing, though, I'm not done. There's other boxing shit to talk about. Okay. Actually, before I get into that, John Ray says, no, you had the right idea. Dakota versus Robelis to Spain. Milker says, you ever get high early in the morning and wonder how you're going to look when you get to work on my Monday morning lecture, in my case? Yeah, I never wonder anymore. I just assume I kind of look high. I kind of assume that people that do get high know that I look high, but people that don't just think I'm tired. That's my assumption. Here are the fights coming up. August 8th in Benghazi, Libya. On DAZN, Alberto Ramirez taking on Jerome Pampeleon. 12 rounds at light heavyweight. There's also a bunch of other fights on the card. These are not for any titles or anything. So if you're itching for boxing, DAZN's gonna have some boxing for you this weekend. Otherwise, there's no boxing going on. There's none. August 15th in Santa Ynez, California, on UFC Fight Pass, we have a title fight between Mizuki Yuruta taking on Naomi Cardenas Gomez, 12 rounds for Iruta's WBO Women's Junior Bantamweight title. August 16th in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on DAZN. Nick Ball is taking on Sam Goodman for Ball's WBA featherweight title. Also on the card, Anthony Kakachi, Moses Atoma, David Adele. Okay. August 23rd in Orlando, Florida in DAZN. Yoani Tellez is taking on Abbas Baal. 12 rounds at junior middleweight. Also a title fight between Stephanie Hahn and Paulina Angel for Hahn's WBA women's lightweight title. Also a title fight between Jasmine Artiga and Lynn Sandstrom. 10 rounds for Artiga's WBA women's junior bantamweight title. So that's August 23rd. And not to forget, September 13th in Las Vegas on Netflix, Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford. November 22nd, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, David Benavidez, Anthony Yard for Benavidez's WBC light heavyweight title. Also on the card, Jesse Bam Rodriguez and Fernando Danielle Martinez for the WBC junior bantamweight title and Martinez's WBA junior bantamweight title. Also, 2 title fights on the card, Abdullah Mason taking on Sam Noakes for the vacant WBO lightweight title and Brian Norman Jr. taking on Devin Haney. 12 rounds for Norman's WBO welterweight title. And that's it for the boxing notables. All I got left is picks for you guys. All I got left is picks. So let's do some PFL picks. PFL Africa 2 is happening on the same day as UFC. It's happening earlier. As you know, PFL Africa happened during the day. This will be the same case. So it will be a long day. I might be doing a watch along for that. I'm not sure yet. I'm truly not sure yet. But I do have some picks for you guys. And here those picks are, motherfuckers. All right. Patrick Okemi. Okay. He's in the main event. Okay. I'm guaranteeing that dubber. All right. Guaranteeing the dubber. Guaranteed. Okay. Also, remember these names. Shido Boris Esperanza, guaranteed win. He's knocking out his opponent. Okay. Emilios Dasi. Keep that name in your head. Emilios Dasi. He's an Ngannou-sponsored fighter. Okay. I see him getting a KO as well. All right. Elbert Lucas Stein, South African fighter, submission specialist. I expect him to get the submission win. And Desmond Awa Tumangang. I expect him to get a TKO as well. He is also an Ngannou-sponsored fighter. Okay, so those 2 fighters, Tumangang and Dasi, both of them are Ngannou-sponsored fighters. Keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. That's very important. Very important. You know how the PFL loves them. Why would they give them a shit matchup, right? And for my picks on UFC Vegas 109er, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Come on. We got to take him against Dolidze. Dolidze's never been finished. Obviously, we're going to take him by decision. Hernandez by decision. He's gone 5 rounds and won a decision before. He'll do it again. Okay. I like Andre Fili to upset Christian Rodriguez. Fili's going to do to Rodriguez what Rodriguez has been doing to all these young up-and-coming bantamweights. Okay. He's going to big bully him. He's going to big brother him. He's going to show why he is more experienced and why he's going to win this fight. Andre Fili for the win. I like Julius Walker to get a win. I like Uros Medic to get a win. I like Gene Matsumoto to get a win. Okay. I love him to get a win. I absolutely will have him in the parlay. Gene Matsumoto's going in the parlay. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez going in the parlay. Probably Uros Medic are my 3 in the regular parlay. My high risk, we're going to have Angela Hill in there. Angela Hill is definitely going to be in the high risk parlay. Obviously, Andre Fili is going to be in that high risk parlay. So I like both of them. You know, we like to go with Angie Hill, always with Angela Hill, always, always, always. Okay, spread bets, decision bets, Angie's great for them. So I like those. If you like any of those names too, you should probably go bet it. That's all I'm saying. So those are my picks on UFC Vegas 109. And that's it for me, y'all. I'm done. That's it. That's the show. I'm out of here. I'm done. Don't forget, we're trying to get to 550. So please, if you haven't already, please like the video below. Please subscribe. If you need an easy method to do so, if you're watching on a tablet, a TV, whatever, grab your phone right now, grab your camera, Scan this QR code on your right for the main card. Scan the QR code on your left for the main card minute. Scan the QR code on your right for one more round fights. Okay, that's me. One more round fight. So fucking right here. Scan that QR code right there. Become a fan of the channel. Become part of the family. Make some money. Because that's what we do here too. And don't forget to follow on social. One more round fights everywhere. All that shit. Yo, sponsors. Stop being a bitch, sponsors. Hit me up. I'm trying to get some money too. Stop being a hoe. I'm trying to get some money, motherfuckers. Melker says, yeah, there's currently a war between THC and caffeine going on in my body. Not sure who's winning yet. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. There's always a winner, too. There's always a winner. No draws there. Rob Lawyer says Moses Otoma versus White should be a banger on the zone. Yeah, I can't wait to see that fight. Marcus says Abdullah versus Noakes is going to be a banger. That's going to be a banger, too. Can't wait to see that one as well. Abdullah Mason finally coming back. And then Rob says, thanks, Gav. Remember to like and subscribe, everyone, to one more round. Thank you. Cosmo Kramer says, peace, y'all. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Enjoy your nights. Rick and Morty's about to come on. Watch any other shows you guys like. It's only 11 over here, so I got a little more time. I'm going to eat something, too. Maybe eat some ice cream. I'm going to get a little wild with it. You already know. Peace. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your Mondays, your Sundays. Have a great rest of the week, guys. Deuces.